let me just start off the session. We'll get to the housekeeping in a moment as soon as the housekeeping slide comes up. It's 4 minutes past 4, typically 2 minutes beyond our typical scheduled start of every Aarohana session. Thank you all participants. Thank you attendees for being here. And we've got a very exciting program today. It's about digital marketing. And we've got Sivaram Kuppachi, who is the founder, CEO of Zamstars. And before we get into the session proper, some housekeeping rules and that we will follow. We will mute all participants and there will be time for Q&A at the end. Please post all your questions in the chat box or the Q&A box at the end. At the bottom of your screen, we'll pick it up and pass it on to Sivaram to respond to. And please keep it brief and specific. And any further interactions, please send a mail to aarohana@niceorg.in. We'll also reach out to you for feedback. And a certificate of participation will be presented to all participants at the end of the Aarohana program, which ends in January. And please do visit our website, niceorg.in, as well as our Facebook page. And if you want to see the recordings of all the prior sessions, as well as interact with fellow participants and get regular updates, please become part of the Nice Aarohana LinkedIn group. The URL is at the bottom of the screen. And you can continue to engage and stay abreast of all the goings on at NICE as well as NICE Aarohana. Okay, so with that, that's the important set of announcements I had to make. Now back to the session today. We've got Sivaram, who's the founder, CEO of Zamstars, which is a brand consulting design and firm that works a lot with clients in India as well as overseas and focuses on the digital marketing strategy and brand strategy and a design approach for companies. So now it's over to Sivaram and he will walk you through the entire digital marketing landscape, universe, what you need to keep in mind, and so on and so forth. Okay, so over to you, Sivaram.
Hello, Sanjay. Thank you. This is Sivaram. Good afternoon to everybody. A beautiful Saturday morning. I take this opportunity to thank NICE Aarohana for giving us this platform to share our experiences and thoughts in the entire space of digital, considering the new normal that we are going through post-COVID. And I also humbly welcome all the participants who have taken their time out and spending the next an hour with us. So as Sanjay told, question and answer sessions are open, so you guys can sort of post your questions as we go through in. When I was talking to Sanjay about the session, it's extremely, not just difficult, but impossible to just cover a topic called digital marketing in 40 minutes or 60 minutes. So what I did is I tried to sort of give a different viewpoint that I believe in terms of what we all as entrepreneurs are going through and what journey we are trying to take forward in the space of one being an entrepreneur and also trying to reach your consumers in the new normal and try to stitch together a property which sort of relates to all of us today. So with that, I welcome you all to this session, which is called the marketing on dark side. Okay, and why this marketing on dark side is because I think the phase that we all are going through and the brands that we are carrying close to our heart, as entrepreneurs, I think during this dark side, how we should organize ourselves and reach out to our consumers and markets. And that for me is the dark side that we are trying to reach out to our consumers. And that's why I named this property called as marketing on the dark side, inspired through Star Wars. So people who have got questions about it offline can reach out to me on why we got inspiration from Star Wars as a property for this marketing on dark side. If you look at the new normal, I don't want to dwell too much about it. I think all of you must have understood and had context of the new normal, but in context of today's conversation, what this impacts to us as entrepreneurs. In my own way, I think there are going to be 3 ways it impacts us as entrepreneurs. structure, the markets, and the consumer. What does in structure in terms of the assets that we carry, the capital, the ambition goal that we are also as entrepreneurs are sort of put a foundation to our business, one that's had impact on due to COVID and the new normal. The markets are having a huge impact, both from a macro standpoint, both economic and non-economic macro standpoint. The competition, the way competitions are gearing up to go into the market, and the differentiation, right? I think a lot of companies have seen over the last 5 to 6 months have tried to sort of see how they can differentiate themselves into the market. The last but not the least, the reason why we all exist is the consumers. I think that's been a big impact too in this new normal from three standpoints, which are critical from a marketing standpoint: is the behavior of the consumers, the expectations of consumers, and the purchasing power of consumers, whether it is in absolute or shift in the purchasing power in terms of the locus. I think all these elements have a bearing on the new normal and its impact on us as entrepreneurs in the business. The question is that are we ready? And for us to be ready, as I told you, moving through this dark side, looking at the positive going forward is, I think, the three aspects of structure, markets, and consumers. The three aspects that we should look at is analyze, adapt, adopt, and accelerate. And what I meant by in terms of structure is go lean on human capital, assets, finance cost, and burn rate. A great time for us to actually great way for us as entrepreneurs to sort of go through this phase of managing that piece in go lean. Go differentiated, both from a category standpoint as well as a consumer standpoint. How we are going to stand out differentiated is very important for us to catch the eyeballs of the consumer and go digital. I think digital was a was there in the marketing mix of consumers pre-COVID, but I think post-COVID, at least for the foreseeable near to midterm future, it's just digital only, right? There is very seldom we can see a non-digital play of first reaching of consumers, right? Digital, transformation innovation to reach consumers is actually go digital only, right? Now let's get ready for this dark side. As we all move into it, what is dark side? So I was actually toiling myself in terms of understanding, just as an entrepreneur myself, like what is this dark side that I need to be worried about and what I should be looking at. I've sort of bracketed into four things, right? One is all of the dark side of businesses is for fears: the fear of unknown, the fear of unexpected, the fear of unnatural, and the fear of uncharted. I mean, you as entrepreneurs, sort of, or budding entrepreneurs, if you look at what really makes us fearful, is these four things, in my opinion, in a structured manner. And for this dark side, which is nothing but a fear, the entire marketing on dark side is actually managing or mitigating this fear. So the fear of unknown is know the unknown, expect the unexpected, overcome the uncharted, and do the unnatural. I think these are all the foundation tenets that we should have as entrepreneurs or the to be entrepreneurs to see that how we can navigate this new normal and reach out to our consumers more effectively. So I'm going to go quickly on these slides. As Sanjay told, this is available. This will be shared by people. I would like to spend more time in the downstream of the session on question answers, and there's an interesting program that we created for you. So I quickly run them through, and then we can take the questions in the Q&A. When I say know the unknown, what is it? I think very important. I have experience in the last 8 months is employees. Do you have the right team to deliver? Whether it is a co-founder, co-partner, the right assets that you have for the right job. I think that introspection of and ensuring that we have the right human capital as part of our team is very important. Are we on the right platforms, right? If you look at digital, social, we'll talk about a little bit more as we go in. It may not be necessary for us to be in all platform all the time. I think to choose the right platform which we will anchor on, and then use other platform to amplify is probably the right way for us to be prepared and use our resources in the optimal way to navigate the new normal. The industry that we are sort of playing in, do we have enough insights? The audiences, can we sort of start creating those personas of audiences so that our messaging, our communication can be targeted to these audiences very effectively? What markets do we play? I see actually over the last few months, hyper localization of audiences and markets are becoming much more imperative to entrepreneurs. So that going to that level of hyperlocal market definition and hyperlocal audience definition becomes all the more important for us to know the unknown. And what I meant by know the unknown, it sounds very obvious, but I leave with the thought of knowing the unknown means actually the difference between we as entrepreneurs saying that I have won the war and I have not lost the war. By English, it makes the same meaning, but it's got huge differences in the outlook of business, and that's the meaning of know the unknown. So spend time to know these unknowns as much as possible, pen it down as detailed as possible, go hyper local as much as possible, choose the right platform, know your unknown. That's the first tenet of marketing on dark side. Just an analogy to make us believe why this know the unknown is so important. I think a lot of the audiences must have watched the movie Avengers Endgame, which came about a couple of years back. And I asked this question to a lot of people whom I meet, both my consumers as well as people I interact with. Why did Avengers lose the Infinity Stone or Infinity War to Thanos? There were 27 Avengers on one side, and there was Thanos on the other side. And why was Thanos, in just one movie, become so powerful that he was able to defeat 27 Avengers? I think the story goes like this: that while Avengers were strong, but they were not knowing the unknown of where these Infinity Stones were, and more importantly, how to collect the Infinity Stones. I think that insights of knowing the unknown made Thanos to win the Infinity War. And then moving from that dark side of Infinity War to the next sequel of Avengers, which is called Avengers Endgame, Avengers sort of started to know the unknown, which is to know that how to go and get more insights about the Infinity Stones and then get it back, so that they won that Endgame sequel. I think as entrepreneurs, that's a great lesson we need to know. While it is obvious, but let's spend time to know the unknown, to beat this new normal and navigate. The second one is expect the unexpected. What it means is that I think I believe in 5 things to expect the unexpected. Experimentation. Number 2 is flexibility. I think I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs being very rigid and rigid on the thought, rigid on an opinions and principles, not principle, opinions and the thoughts and their outlook towards markets and consumers. I think we need to be a little bit flexible to see how we sort of take our product or services to position in the market. Appetite for risk. I'm not saying that we should gamble, but we should have that appetite to say that I think I'll go with this communication route to the consumers, right? I've seen a lot of brands and entrepreneurs hesitating to take that step, saying that I don't know what the consumer will think, right? I think if you have backing up with the right information, it's a good thing to take a risk. A backup plan, very important. And there are factors which are other factors which might come, like how COVID came time to time, and we should be ready for that in terms of expecting the unexpected. A few example, I would say that my biggest example is Sir Padma Shri Ratan Tata. And way back in 1980s, he made a statement that I don't believe in taking the right decisions. I take decisions and use all the resources I have to make it right. I think that's the biggest story we as entrepreneurs, and I've seen many number of times entrepreneurs not taking that move, whether it is marketing campaign or writing a blog or putting a sting. I don't know what the consumers thinks. I think if you have conviction, take the decision. I think that experimentations will make us have that early mover advantage to the market. As I told you, experimentation, flexibility, appetite for risk. Don't be afraid to give ideas. It requires too much time to implement it. So don't worry about what it takes or what it impacts to us, provided our foundations and our data is pretty right. Backup. I am a strong believer to believe that there is nothing known as a foolproof plan anymore, right? I think we should have a plan B, plan C, plan D, and how do we sort of activate that based on the insights that we get from a plan that we have executed is very important as entrepreneurs for us. Other factors, whether it is demonetizations or COVID, we all have faced these unexpected challenges, and that's why I go back to the market structures and consumers and how we quickly align back to ensure that we go lean, go differentiated into our customers is very important. So I leave that thought of expect the unexpected. Just a quick some snapshot that we got for certain industries that we think that's very important. If you look at fashion industry, 63% of consumers are avoiding stores in the new normal. Travel and tourism, 60% of consumers across countries, age groups agree that they can't wait to travel again. So that's an opportunity for us. Food and beverage, 28% of respondents said that they had healthier meals more. Additionally, 33% of people reported they purchased food from a takeaway less often compared to the period before the lockdown. Home decor, 30%, 13% is expected growth rate of the market in home decor segment over the next 1 year. These are great insights for us, and how we actually organize ourselves to beat this unexpected things that has happened to us is going to be the test for us as entrepreneurs. The last one before we segue into certain tactical aspects of digital marketing is do the unnatural. I try to sort of do the unnatural way, do the unnatural in terms of a structure for us as entrepreneurs to go to market, right? I think we need to have a structure for us to organize ourselves in digital marketing, right? And and I think there are going to be 5 phases for all of us as brand custodians in engaging consumers. The reason why we try to go into digital. One is called as attract. That's where we are doing a lot of awareness programs. Engage. That's where we are trying to investigation and comparison in terms of engaging our consumers. Influence is when we are trying to move them into a consideration set. Convert is when we are actually attempting them to make the economic transaction with us, and then delight, make them own, purchase and ownership. I think we as entrepreneurs, when we're trying to run our digital program, we need to clearly augment our mind to ensure that the program carries this breadth from attract to delight, right? Whether it is making a content calendar for a social platform or running ads on Google AdWords, don't take it as just an asset. There has to be a lifespan of this entire campaign that you have, and the campaign lifespan has to be in this journey of attracting to keeping them delighted. And in these things, in each of these things, I think we can do certain things which not generally people do. For example, in attract, very important for us to do personal branding of entrepreneurs. As entrepreneurs, we cannot endorse big celebrities or big brands to be behind us. So I think one of the things that we can do unnaturally is, as entrepreneurs, why don't we actually do a personal branding to ourselves, so that there is a differentiator for us to attract and make awareness for the consumers to talk to us. Engage, a very lessly used tool called LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's a little bit laborious, but absolutely great buddy. Even for me, I use very extensively, very, very economical in terms of price points to engage with consumers. Thought leadership in terms of influence, I think we have to start penning our thoughts, write our thoughts, and then socialize on social platforms, digital platforms. Convert is lead generation. I'll talk downstream in terms of what are the quick ways for us to generate leads, and brand advocacy. I think this is what is important in mapping the marketing journey of the consumers from TOMA to ITP, which is top of the mind awareness to intent to purchase, right? Here, whether it is old normal or the new normal, ultimately we as brand custodians are marketing to consumers who are humans, who are just like you and me. So they're never going to buy when we want them to buy. So our job is to keep our brand in top of their mind awareness. And that's why we do this attract, engage, influence constantly to the consumers. And then when there's an intent to purchase from the consumer, the investment that we make in the TOMA will help the consumer to start buying to us. There are outliers where there's going to be impulsive purchase. We are not denying that. But a general trend is that we need to start building a TOMA, so that when there's an ITP, intent to purchase moment for the consumer, our effort on attract, engage, and influence will help that consumer to start making the purchase. Okay, and that's when we need to be a little bit unnatural in the way we try to break stereotype and go and reach out to these consumers. Why we should do it? I mean, quick statistics: 91% of marketers claim that social media activity greatly increases their exposure. These are certain statistics from publicly available research papers. 100% lead to closure rate that we have seen in terms of digital than outbound marketing. An average 2.2 hours is spent per day on social media by people from audiences like you and me. 71% of audience who have a positive experience with a brand are likely to recommend to their friends, and the way they can recommend is much more easier and can be amplified better in the social and digital platform. So that's why we should really be looking at how even take a small baby step in making ourselves available on social/digital channels in an unnatural way. This is a key slide. I would like to, this is what I think that I would say that this is the mind map for me in terms of how I look at every single brand that I try to add value to my consumers, right? And for me, this is what etches in my mind before I work with any brand. So one side I have my brand, which is me or my business, or another side I have the digital audience, right? And I need to actually close this gap of how to connect this brand and audiences which are digitally available, and what is the mechanism. I think if you look in the center, right, I think that's critical. Look at the mindset of a consumer who is connected on digital, and what we has to do as digital marketers to them is, first is awareness, build awareness. And this is from intent standpoint, intent of the consumer is, first is there is an awareness, and from awareness I am moving the consumer to the knowledge. From knowledge I'm moving the consumer to attitudinal change, which means that his or her intent or change in attitude to try the product, and finally to advocacy. I think any user journey map of intent, if you actually plan that journey, it is always from awareness to knowledge to attitudinal change to advocacy. With that intent in core, go step down, that when I write my content, and you must have heard of this in digital marketing called as content calendar. And what is the pretext of writing this content calendar? And I've seen brands writing content calendar. I do 30 posts, I do 20 posts, I do 10 ads. I think what's very important for us to sort of put our heads down is that if my intent is this, moving from awareness to knowledge to attitudinal change to advocacy, when I build my content calendar, I need to build it with 4 pillars: informational content, instructional content, emotional content, and if I have a promotional content. And the right mix of that is actually the medicine that I give to my consumer to consume, so that we can move them in intent from an awareness to advocacy. Now, with that in place, what are the gateways for me? What are the assets I can create as a brand custodian? I need to make my social media creatives. I need to make my emailers. I need to make my adverts. If possible, I can make my videos. These are all becomes my core assets that I create and keep. And then for the audiences, I make them to enter and consume these assets to consume my content, and hopefully I'm making them to make and change in the intent from awareness to advocacy is through my gateways, whether it is website, Google, social media. I mean, today's world, it is WhatsApp. So all these become gateways. So we as entrepreneurs should have a very clear picture about all these 4 layers: gateways, intent, content, and assets. And based on the resources that we have as entrepreneurs, allocate them across these 4 things, and then build on over a period of time. We may not have unlimited resources from day one, but then just don't spend all your money on just one aspect of it. There has to be spread in all these 4 different structures that I sort of look like, call it what I call it as a lay of the land of audience to brand connected digitally. Moving on, few things, just in the interest of time, I sort of quickly put in. I don't know how much of your audience are B2B, B2C, fit in B2C. What is the main objective? But then a quick insight on how and what we should look at in terms of engaging audience, right? So there are multiple platforms. There are LinkedIn, there's Twitter, there's Facebook, there is social media ads, Google ads, there is blogging, there's webinars. So my suggestion is keep a primary and a secondary object for each channel. For example, in LinkedIn, it is primarily, if you're a B2B marketing is very good on LinkedIn, and agnostic of whichever business you are, networking happens very effectively in LinkedIn. And a secondary objective is, as entrepreneurs, for us to establish a good thought leadership by writing about us and our product. I think that plays a very strong role of LinkedIn. Platform assets could be pages, blogs. There are phenomenal groups that are available on LinkedIn that we can participate. And last but not least for networking is Sales Navigator in LinkedIn. Audience behavior from a brand scale is job seekers, B2B engagement, suspects. These are all the typical audience behavior you can find in a LinkedIn as a platform. Twitter, very good for B2C marketing. Thought leadership, awareness, and engagement can be really effectively done in Twitter. Platform assets are handles, your list and your DMs, very strong platform assets. And audience behavior, there is casual and quick engagement. That's where I will recommend my consumers, my brands to use Twitter as a platform. Facebook, very strong primary objective, B2C marketing, secondary objective, awareness and engagement. I think of late, lead generation from Facebook is not been as effective. I think a lot more comes from Instagram these days. But for awareness engagement, I think Facebook is still a very strong platform as a secondary objective. Platform assets, again, a lot of good, first is pages, a lot of groups that are available, engage in the groups, and marketplace. I've seen a lot of brands in B2C have taken less advantage of marketplace of Facebook. Audience behavior, casual, millennial heavy is Facebook as a platform. Moving on to SEO and PPC, primary, it could be both for B2B and B2C marketing is a primary objective, which is basically to generate leads. Secondary objective is PPS from search, text, and display, and a great platform for remarketing. Platform asset should be a good landing page, very, very intuitive, immersive landing pages that will help the audiences when they reach there to be engaged and then take a CTA for that. Website, B2B, B2C marketing, thought leadership, good landing pages are very important. Blog placements, very important. I think people are consuming very interesting blogs. If it is written well, very intuitively, good for remarketing, good for thought leadership, and obviously as platform assets, social book marketing is very effective if you have a good blog placement. There are new things that are coming up like podcast. If you have a good setup for us to create and execute a podcast, that's really good. I see a lot of brands actually investing into podcasts and going through in good videos as core assets is definitely something that we can invest in as brands and then use it across the social channels. As I told you, I think as every brand custodian, please think that you have four kind of content: instructional content, informational content, which is a content with clear, crisp CTS leading the audiences to relevant landing. That is instructional, right? If I have a product, I want to sell a pen, right? I need to tell what is the message of how, for example, if I'm going to have a pen which has got certain features, my content will be more of instructional. What will make you to feel good by using this pen, right? Informational pen is about the pen, what material is used, what is the design, what are the colors, right? Give information which clearly talks about that pen. There's no CTA in information, but whereas instructional, there's a clear CTA, right? If you want a pen to write like this, if you want a pen to be smooth, if you want to know that you need to write fast, then read this, and by the way, take the CTA. CTA is nothing but click to action, so that there is an action that we're looking at it. Emotional content. Ultimately, everybody who's trying to consume our contents digitally is a human being. We are not selling to Martians or people in other planet, right? And humans means that they have an element of emotion. So please slide in emotional content into your content calendar mix, which connects to the people. Don't hard sell on your product or services. Try to capture that emotional connect to the audiences and mix it with a promotional. Please don't bombard your campaigns with offers. I've seen a lot of F&B campaigns that happen on social media. The only thing they do is that buy one get one free. I think at some stage it becomes an noise to the consumers. So that right way, if you can inject the promotional content in the mix of instructional, informational, and emotional, then the promotional content will actually carry a weight and connects to the audiences. Please keep that in mind when you're creating your content hub. Moving on from overcoming the uncharted, we saw about unknown, unnatural. Now we're looking at we've seen unexpected. The last one is uncharted. To start, there's just certain questions even I had as a startup, right? Which market to play? What is my go-to-market plan? Where can we find our audiences? When will we get the first or the next round of funding? How to get leads for businesses at the most optimal cost? Why should we spend money on marketing so early? I think these are all the questions that continuously come to us as entrepreneurs day in and day out. I think this aspect of overcoming this uncharted is a key element of marketing on dark side as entrepreneurs that we should look at. Three major things that we can invest in as entrepreneurs to overcome this uncharted is going digital only, collaborations, and personal branding. Going digital, I think we discussed. I'll leave this slide and then take it whatever is needed on the Q&A session. Collaborations, very important. There are multiple platforms today are looking to collaborate. A great brand, I would say, is NICE has created it. The purpose of existence of NICE is to create the collaborations. We should all thank NICE as a platform for that. Like this, there are multiple options available for us as entrepreneurs to look out for places where we can collaborate. Please don't feel shy to extending a hand of collaboration. The new normal marketing on dark side to overcome uncharted is a collaborative way, right? So human to human marketing works wonders for brands today as online. You don't need a Shah Rukh Khan or a Rahul Dravid or MS Dhoni to endorse your brand. Look at hyper local endorsements. If you're looking at if you're a business of handcrafts, can you find that one individual in your neighborhood of Kormangla who has got even 100 audiences, who have got a good way of actually some pedigree about handicrafts or fashion and blogging, and let them talk about your brand. Even that collaboration will give a lot of wonders for you on social platforms. If you're making certain food recipes, if you're making certain products which are into culture related, look at hyper local, look at hyper local people to start collaborating with you. You don't need a brand at this point of time to start collaborating, but people shy to extend that hand. Participating in organizing curated events that attract the brand custodians and relevant audience. Please use the digital platform to connect to audiences, collaborate with them as much as possible. More importantly, have a follow-up for the collaborations, which I've seen many people don't do that post these collaboration event that happens. The last one, I think for every entrepreneur is personal branding, right? Very important, because if I don't have a check to sign to have Sri Amitabh Bachchan to come and endorse my brand, the biggest hero for my brand is myself. So how do you create a branding for yourself so that you break the stereotype and establish a connection to the audiences? I practice it. I'm a big influencer of American football, NFL. My entire company is morphed around American football. Each of our employees take a role. We have a pride in playing that role. I'm a big fan of Iron Man. So there are multiple. When I say I'm a big fan of Iron Man, when I write, I bring a lot of Marvel correlations in the writing to my brands. Whether it is technology, whether it is F&B, whether it is education. I think there has to be a style that we create to ourselves, so that we just don't become a me too when somebody wants to collaborate with us. So please engage, invest in a brand. As Steve Jobs says, what is a brand? I think every individual entrepreneur is a brand by ourselves. We need to believe that first. And then how do we amplify that brand is important, and it's in our hands. I think please start investing into that. Believe you as a brand, believe in yourself, and amplify your brand by having your own personal branding, that you can amplify the content that you will submit for your brand services on the digital channels. So the world has gone digital. The question is, what brands waiting for, what are the brands waiting for you? As I told you, the dark side that we're having and the marketing on dark side is to know the unknown, expect the unexpected, do the unnatural, and overcome the uncharted. As I told you, this is from the Star Wars. It goes like this: dark side of the force is a pathway to many abilities, some consider to be unnatural. And what we prescribe is that the dark side of marketing is a pathway to many possibilities, some consider to be natural. And that's what we as Zamsters sort of strongly believe in terms of practicing it. I was talking to Mr. Sanjay earlier this conference, and I told him that I don't want it to be just a session where we just give, with your permission, quotes Gyan. We want to leave something to you guys to have a session to follow up, and then we are available. Mr. Sanjay's team will organize if at all you guys want to have a quick chat with us. We have allocated certain time pro bono to Mr. Sanjay for you guys to reach out to us. What we have done is we have created a 31-day challenge for you guys. Okay. And every day there is some activity. I think they call it as Aksharabhyas of digital marketing. So please practice this. It will help you to go through the channels of analyze, attract, engage, influence, convert, and gives you certain ways. You don't need any people to support you on this. You don't need an agency. You don't need a team. You just as entrepreneurs is absolutely sufficient to do this 31-day program. And it will make you self-reliant to take your brands digital, whether it is in the assessment networking on analysis side, whether it is attracting the consumers, whether it is engaging the consumers, it is to influence the consumers. And finally, the purpose that we all created an organization, which is to convert the consumers to our customers, right? And all these channels, whether it is Social Blade, Canva, Facebook shop, website, social media, Facebook insights, using WhatsApp for business or Quora, Medium. They're all free channels for the first 1 month. You don't have to spend a dime. What I just request is spend 2 hours of your day every 2 hours per day for the next 31 days. So this 31 into 2, which is 62 hours of your investment, can take your brand from X to Y. I'm not going to define what is the qualitative number of X and the qualitative number of Y, but you can see your brand actually jumping a notch by practicing this 31-day program. This will be shared, I think, by Nice Team to all of you guys. This is me, Sivaram. I am a big follower of this statement. Don't wait to take the right decision. Please take one. And with all the vices that we have learned, let's make it right. I think change is the only constant for all of us. I'm a big, again, I practice that. So anything that you guys need to know about digital, we'll look forward to take questions. Nice team. I would like to close with this 40 minutes time slot I had. I mean, I'm dot on 40 minutes, so I'll open up for questions, please. I have my colleague, my senior consulting partner, Mr. Atul Verma, on the call too. He's also a practitioner of social digital channels. So based on the questions we have, we both can take questions, please.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Hello,
you.
everyone. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Shivram, for that. And we'll open it up for questions. And, the question has one coming from Veena Sridhar. She asks, even though the intent is the same, I have observed that the exact same content does not work on multiple platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, WhatsApp, etc. Is my understanding correct?
Absolutely true, Ms. Veena. And that's why I said that one side, I think first, don't try to have the same content going to multiple platforms. As I told you, right, first of all, break your content into 4 buckets. Make it as a practice for you. Every content has to map, is this content piece informational, instructional, emotional, promotional? I think that's the first step you should do. Trust me, Veena, I've seen 70 to 80% of entrepreneurs don't do that. Once you do that, yes, question is very true. There are certain content that may not give you the kind of engagement you expect in a LinkedIn versus an Instagram. That's what I said. Knowing about our audience is very important, who are actively engaged in that platform. So keep that in mind. And yes, you need to be specific about the kind of messaging that they go across platforms.
Yeah. Next question is, what ROI measurement tools have you used in each of the 4 U's that you walked us through? Fear of the unknown, uncharted, and all that. What was the tools that, etc., that were used to determine the progression?
I think the progression, there are 2 ways I would take. I didn't know the question. What's the name of the person, Mr. Sanjay? Sorry.
Sridhar Raj.
Sridhar Raj. Okay. For some reason, I'm not able to see the Q&As on my screen.
No problem. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So I think the 4, going from the known to unknown to uncharted, unnatural. I think the biggest ROI is not just one dimensional, it's 2-dimensional. First, you as an entrepreneur, we as entrepreneurs, we need to see that how much we are engaged at a personal capacity on social channels, right? I think and there are ways for us to meet all the social channels where we are present gives us a good amount of insights about how we are trending, how much searches we are able to see, how many activities we're actively engaged. I think that's a metric I personally see. Even 7th year of my entrepreneurship, I practice to follow that on a daily basis, monthly basis. That's number 1. Number 2, I think as a brand, define your score. There's no quantitative score for us to do this, but there are ways in which we can actually empirical formulas that you can derive from the current state of where we are to where we go. Very simple example. If I'm able to have my cost per like, for example, say on a Facebook, for a Facebook, for a B2C brand in tier 1 cities, I'm giving you a very broad example. A typical average cost of acquiring a follower or a like in Facebook is about 4 to 6 rupees. Give or take, there'll be 1 or 2 rupees here and there. That's a kind of number. If I'm going to start with that number, end of month 2, can I bring that by 25 paise or 50 paise? I think that's the way I look at my metrics of ROI. Whether my cost of reach, my cost of followers, my website cost, right? If I'm doing a strong website and I want my consumers to come to the website, today a website visit through a social/digital channels may cost anywhere from about 2 rupees to about 20 rupees. Many factors determine that. So can I start reducing it on a month-on-month basis? I think these are the ways in which we can look at how this activity is actually helping us in an ROI benefit, Sanjay.
Okay. So what we'll do, we'll move on a little fast, Shivam. Lots of questions are coming in.
Sure.
Okay. So all those who have questions for Shivaram, regarding the 31-day marketing challenge, all of this will be available to you. You can access the 31-day calendar that he has put out. We will share that with you. Shivaram, I presume this deck is shareable, right?
Absolutely, Sanjay.
Right. So we'll put it up so you guys can all share it. Any questions, please send it to aarohana@nicehawk.in and we will circle back to you after discussing with Shivaram. Question from Jaggi is, given that website are important, how does one choose a website vendor on a limited budget? Some quick tips.
I think as an entrepreneur, start with your own website. I think the best way to do a website is go to WordPress. There are ways in which you can build a website without too much of help, right? Very difficult question to choose a vendor on a website. I think
so do your own thing. That's what you're saying.
Do yourself. There are ways to do it. There are ways for you to start your website by yourself. I think that's the input I'll have, Sanjay, at this level.
Okay. Question from Anita. She says, what do you think of email marketing, list building?
And fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely works for a specific kind of industry. Absolutely works. Ensure that don't just blast emails, have a drip sequence, right? Ensure that every email campaign you're running it have a drip sequence. Without drip sequence, your emails is just blast and paint. Doesn't work. Yeah. Have a proper drip sequence. Email will do wonders for you.
Drip sequence is right. Okay. Question from Bhavna Sharma. She says she's excited by the 31. Need to make all the products, take photographs before I publish, because she says I'm stuck because I feel I have to have all my products ready before I market them. But this itself is a dynamic process. So your quick response to that.
First half of question I didn't listen. I couldn't hear you.
Basically, she's got a set of products. What she's saying is, do I need to make all the products, keep it ready, photograph them, and then start publishing? Or do I start the marketing before everything is ready?
Please, if you ask me, please ensure that you have a right product. Again, it's a personal branding. Your product has to talk, walk the talk. So please ensure that today's with the phones that we have, you don't need a very expensive photographer to shoot your product, right? Please take your product photo shoot before you start marketing.
Got it. Next question from Siddharth Sharma. What's the best and free platform for podcasting?
Atul, you have a question on that?
And what's the good way to use podcasts for business? What's the good free platform for podcasts? And any quick names, or how do you leverage it?
Atul, do you have any quick free tools for podcast? Do you remember it? Okay, I think
we can go ahead and use instead of doing a separate tool for podcast, what you can use is leverage YouTube Live. That is, I think, one of the easiest and simplest methods to
YouTube Live
broadcast your content. Yes, precisely.
Okay, thanks.
I can take it offline, Sanjay. If you can have the respondent, I can give them offline.
Sure, wonderful. Question from Meera Ramakrishnan. She says they take a lot of effort to create knowledgeable content, but they find that it gets very quickly copied by competition. And then they start losing their differentiation. So how can they protect their content? If they put out some stuff, somebody copies it and creates the same using their content, somebody does something.
Make it interesting, Meena. Make it interesting. I personally put efforts to make it interesting, right?
And
sorry, Atul, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So Meera, I'm presuming you're talking about a content which you have already written, which is being copied directly by somebody else. If that is the case, what you can do is use canonical tags, which means you have your content on the website, you publish the same content on Medium, and on Medium you define something which is called a canonical tag. I can walk you through it. Let's connect offline and maybe I'll be able to explain it better. But what canonical tag does essentially is it makes sure that the original website, the original content in the website is defined as the original source, and anybody who copies it is flagged as copied content.
That's
Wonderful.
smart. And also, more importantly, Mina, is that define your content very interesting way. Use contextual, whether it is movies, sports. If you are able to convey your product message, which relates into any of these things, will itself by itself stand out as original, right? I think use that attempt of writing content about your product services, please.
Got it. Question from Manish Chaudhary. It says, very nice session. And regarding email, right? The question is, when I send email, open rates are low. Email lands in junk of the target audience, even if they are known contacts. How does one overcome it? What is the best way to make sure people receive emails?
There is a science for that, Mr. There's a science for this, right? So right from the way you write your subject line, the way you actually put your heading, there are signs in which you can reduce the spamming of the emails. That's number one. I'm sure you're following those sciences. If not, please reach out to us and we'll let you know what our sciences are. And second thing, as I told you, for the open rate, just don't expect by blasting an email for about 10,000 source data, you will get responses. Please have email drip sequence and ensure that every sequence of drip has a follow-up email, whether it is, if it doesn't open or if he opens, what should they go? What should be the following up message? If you have a proper email drip sequencing, you will see results. If you follow the basic grammar of email marketing, which is the way you need to write your subject line and heading line and what word you should not use it, the open rates can be really good.
Okay. Couple of questions which I'll sort of bundle in so that you can give one answer because most sort of related. How does one promote the website to the correct audience when Facebook is not working? Second is this question is from Ritu Mathur. A question from Kiran Kumar. How does one gain leads and convert them to sales? Then Ramakrishnan says, what's a drip sequence? And last from Shruti, how does one do YouTube-based marketing?
Okay. A very loaded question, but then at this point of time, I'd like to take a quote from my guru, Dr. Yashasvi, under whom I studied my CFA. He says that accounting is like a girl in a bikini. What it reveals is interesting. What it doesn't reveal is much more interesting. Use your Facebook like that. Don't reveal about your website so much on your Facebook. Give certain interesting insights about your website and have a CTA to website and invest money for the website click. I have seen brands, startup brands who have got a website click at a rate of about 3 rupees per website click, 2 rupees per website click. It all depends about don't overload, don't try to over communicate about your website on Facebook post. Make it just one message, make it interesting for the person to click and go to the website where it reveals the entire philosophy of your brand. That will definitely work. And I've seen brands succeeding in that piece. And the next question.
What's a drip sequence?
Atul, you want to walk them through the drip sequence quickly, please?
Yes, Sivaram. So drip sequence is essentially a series of methods in which you would want to send the email out. Say, for example, you send the first email out. Now somebody has opened the mail, somebody has not opened the mail, somebody has opened the mail but has not clicked on the CTA. So these are the three different categories under which you need to send the other set of emails out. Somebody who has not opened the email, you need to send them a different line of communication. Somebody who has opened the email but not clicked on the CTA, you need to send a different version of the communication. Similarly, somebody has opened and engaged with the CTA, you need to engage with them in a different fashion. So this is the kind of methodology that is what constitutes the drip sequence, essentially, as an overview.
Understood. The question is it a good idea or is it worthwhile to have large numbers of followers on Insta and Facebook, or a good idea to promote pages just to show big numbers?
I didn't understand the question, Sanjay, actually.
Okay, let me read it out. So Manisha Naidu asks, is it a good idea to spend money on promoting your pages and you get large numbers? Is that by itself sufficient, having large numbers of followers?
Not necessary. It's a chicken and egg. I think just having large number itself will not help you to get conversions as needed, but it's a great base for us to have an awareness of the product. Now, by you having that followers there, as I told you, one is top of the mind awareness, one is intent to purchase. As entrepreneurs, we are not just there to create TOMA, but also intent to purchase. How do we engage these, say, a large audiences that you have garnered on Facebook and Instagram with interesting content so that about your product, when they want to buy, they think of buying your product. So if you have a large audiences, please invest time to have a good engagement with them, with those audiences. Even if you don't have a great audiences, it's okay, but ensure that your reach of your content on social and Insta and Facebook is good, if not gaining followers.
Got it. Question now from Dhruswamini Bias. She says, is it okay to just begin your marketing on one social media platform? She's recently launched a home decor product studio. Question is it okay to be just on one platform?
There's nothing wrong. If you're in home decor, I think the best platform for you to start it with Instagram, then repurpose the same for Facebook. I
Got
think
it.
absolutely fine.
And question from a travel blogger, Manjulika Pramod, who has been writing a lot of travel stories and past memories and all that. What more can I do regarding personal branding and writing and popularizing her blog? Any tips?
I think one is writing the blog. Second is blog placements. I think what is very important is that where do you place your blogs, right? You may have a great content. You have a great stories that you've written about your travel and travelogue. But then ensure that you are placing it right. Have a right blog placements and bookmarking done for your social bookmarking done for your blogs. Number one. And number two, there are multiple platforms. I mean, I'm not trying to sell, but if you look at Dialogues Cafe, one of the investments I made, we have a property called as Dialogues with Travel. We have close to about 7,000 members in Dialogues with Travel as a property. Participate in such forums where people look at people like you who are experts and who have done travel blogging, and they look at hearing from their stories. So I think that the second way for you to amplify your experience of being a travel blogger.
The right placement. Question again says, I'm a startup in a B2B space. Are the top two digital platforms for B2B LinkedIn and Facebook?
Depends on what it is. If it is a manufacturing B2B, IndiaMart could be a great platform. Okay. Again, it depends on what kind of segment of if it is a technology B2B, then probably LinkedIn and Twitter could be a bit good platform. If it is an manufacturing, I would say LinkedIn and IndiaMart could be a good platform. It depends, Sanjay. There's no straight answer. What is that B2B they are linked to?
All right. So two questions, I will bundle them and ask. One is from Srimati. The other is from Preeti. Srimati says, I am a handloom textile brand and I'm depending essentially on Instagram. What is the risk we are being associated with just one brand? Second question from Preeti. She says, how does one associate with the correct hashtags for an article on LinkedIn? And the third one is, how effective is Quora? And that is from Sharmishta.
Brilliant questions, actually. I think handlooms, I would say that be Instagram, use social media as Facebook. Sorry, you can use Facebook very strongly for that. Use Facebook Shop, and those can be very effectively used. There are ways in which you can actually look at hashtags that are relevant for you. That's part of the 31-day challenge that they have given you. Relevant hashtags, which could be trending hashtags, which are relevant for your particular brand, to see which hashtags will give you a better reach. That's number two. What was the third question? I forgot. One is the hashtags, one is on Facebook.
The third question was about Quora.
Quora is definitely a great platform. If you are having the right questions, please participate in responding that. We have seen brands really getting great organic traffic to their website through Quora. Please continue to do that.
Okay. Again, two questions I'll bundle. One is from Vinay Prashant. Says, HubSpot kind of scheduling content helps. Are there any free and trustworthy tools available? Second question is, you talked about collaboration. This is from Ritu Mathur. You talked about collaboration. How does one determine or get the right kind of collaboration? What are the quick tips? How does one find the right partner?
I've been married for 20 years. I still don't know whether I have got the right partner. So I don't know. So I think right. There's nothing called right partner. You have to be effective in that. And collaborations means the way to for me as an entrepreneur to evaluate whether my collaborations are right is to see that whether it is one-way traffic of communication or two-way traffic of communication. If I mean that's the pulse for me to see whether I'm investing in the right collaboration. If I'm keeping on talking to a so-called partner, but I never receive either a point of view or an opinion or a criticism or anything from the other side, I think that's not worth the platform to continuing investing as a partnership. Onto your which tools will be able to do automatic scheduling, Atul?
It's Buffer and Hootsuite that you can use. This you can obviously, this is also included in the part of the 31-day challenge.
Great. So HubSpot and Hootsuite, right?
Buffer and Hootsuite.
Buffer and
Yeah.
Hootsuite. Okay. Question again from Shruti. She says some quick tips on YouTube marketing. And second question from Vibhuti is any simple strategic insight on how to keep your brand on top of customer mind in the current COVID situation?
Ma'am Vibhuti, there is no simple. I wish there is a simple pill that we can take to keep the brand on top of the customer. It is a discipline. Absolutely, garnering a brand is just like bringing a kid. I've been blessed to being a father of a 10-year-old, 11-year-old son. I think we as entrepreneurs, it's just one pill to keep the brands on top of the customers. You need to follow the page that I told you. I think I follow it absolutely every day morning, apart from my Gantri month. I think this is something that I practice day in and day out. If I'm writing one piece of content for a brand, I want to know whether it is informational. If yesterday I sent an informational content, today I want to send an emotional content. If I known that I've been able to track my intent of my consumers in the awareness bucket, then I need to move them to a knowledge bucket. If I have done social media creatives this month, I've spent more money on attracting followers. Next week I'll spend that money that I have available in engaging the followers. I think this is a discipline that we need to carry through to keep our brands on top, and with content which is very, very standing out. And when I say standing out, we don't need an Oxford English to write content. Make it contextual, right? Make it something that can relate to the audiences in day-to-day life. If you're able to do that over a period of time, I don't find any reason why consumers will not like to consume our content. And then for them to actually buy your product and being your advocate depends on how good quality of product you sell.
Okay. So two questions again. One from Anupama. She asks, if you don't have a credit card to make payments for email campaigns, anything like MailChimp, for example, for easier billing, number one. Second question is from Tanushri. She says, how does one get new followers on Instagram? What are the key features, for example, will a client be looking for for an upcoming brand?
Okay. So I'll have actually Atul to take this question for both the questions, but one key thing in Insta could be a good stories than actually post. Stories will gain you good followers. Atul, you this question.
I think for followers acquisition on Instagram, the key thing that you need to do is focus on hashtags. The content that you publish needs to be very topical. It needs to be interesting. It needs to be engaging. Again, whenever you're publishing a content, divide it into the 4 pillars, which is informational, instructional. See what works for your brand. Push the content with the right hashtags, and then gradually, social media is a marathon. It's not a race. Take it as a marathon, gradually with the right hashtags, no promotion included, you will start automatically getting followers. What was the second question, Sanjay?
If I don't have a credit card
Yeah.
and I want to do email campaigns, is there something free like a MailChimp that helps me get active?
Up to
Yeah,
certain
You can use MailChimp up to 2000. So the list you upload should have not more than 2000 contacts.
Got it.
There are ways actually, madam. You can create multiple Gmail IDs. For each Gmail ID, you can do up to 2000 mails. There are ways in which you can do without credit card. Sorry, on the same question, Sanjay. Instagram, I think I've seen a lot of brands trying to bombard with stories every day. Please don't do that. Manage your stories, Insta stories, which are very effective, so that we are not getting as consumers noised by unwanted stories on our walls or pages.
Got it. Okay. And question now is 1 minute regarding a multi-vendor platform, I mean, for example, if I were to cater to both B2C and B2B,
Mhm.
is there a multi-vendor platform? This question is from Yugandhar Arcot.
A multi-vendor platform. I couldn't understand the question. Sorry.
Meaning a platform that caters to both B2C as well as B2B. Is there one platform that does that?
I'm a strong believer, friends, that it is human to human. I think B2B, B2C are all probably 3 years before marketing word or marketing gimmick. I think end of it, I have done sales to clients who are into so-called B2C on LinkedIn. Okay, there was a client of mine who was selling books on LinkedIn. I have made clients to sell handcraft materials on LinkedIn, and people used to say LinkedIn is B2B. Okay, I think it's about your content that you engage. It's about the way in which you engage. Every platform in that way actually is a human-to-human connection, and you can establish a brand. I have a investment called Mogabu Sports, which is purely outdoor sports management, B2C, purely so-called B2C, but we see great traction of that through LinkedIn. Okay, not that I don't have a traction on Instagram and Facebook, but I see good engagement happening on LinkedIn too. So my suggestion is about the content and the human connection that you establish on your content. Emotional content is important there.
Okay, one last question, because we're running out of time. It's 5 minutes past 5. We started an hour ago. For a B2C brand, typically what percentage of sales or marketing budget should I put for digital? What, an approximate sense, if I'm just got let's say a juice brand or, home decor or whatever, what's your sense? If my budget is 100, how much should be on digital? How much should be non-digital?
In today's context, 100% digital.
In today's context, spend everything on digital. That's
100% digital.
All right. Okay. And okay, I'll have one last question so that we can end on a happy note here. Someone has suggested, can I use Wix for creating their own website? WIX. Yeah.
Good start. Good start. A lot of issues with Wix in terms of SEOs and stuff, but absolutely a good start to start there. And then it's very easy for you to move to a free WordPress too. But I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs starting with Wix.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I think we've come to the end of today's session. What we will do is we will collate some of the unanswered queries and something else that comes by after the session ends, and pass it on to Sivaram and Atul for their responses. So thank you very much, Sivaram and Atul, for this wonderful session. Thank you to the audience. Now, before I let you go, we will be having another session on Monday. So if you can just stop sharing your screen. Yes, we will be having another session on branding and positioning on Monday by Preeti Sani, who is a brand strategist and a startup advisor mentor. Starts again at 4 p.m. So I'd encourage all of you to please spread the word around after this wonderful session that we've enjoyed today, to come back on Monday late afternoon at 4 p.m. and listen to Preeti Sani talk about branding and positioning as well. So the two together, with the digital marketing and the brand strategy part, will be very beneficial to all of you. Thank you very much. And I think with that, I will draw this particular session of Aarohana to a close. And any further communication contacts, please drop us an email, aarohana@niceorg.in, and we will be certain to get back to you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
So much, friends, for your precious time on Saturday evening. Thank you. God bless you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.